Alright, training tip of the day. Athletic training can be simplified into some easier movements for people who don't want to spend the time to put as much effort into learning Olympic lifts and learning power lifts and perfecting them. So we can do simple things like jumping with weight, running with prowlers, adding weight to prowlers. But the main thing that's extremely important when we're trying to get progression in our athletic training is that we continue to add load or continue to add variation. We are still a big proponent of getting our powerlifting in, getting our big lifts in, but we like to make sure that the athlete has the prerequisites to do so. And if they don't have the prerequisites to do so, so proper hip mobility, whatever, we will find variations to allow them to get proper range of motion in their hips or to build athletic performance in other ways. So some of the ways that we love to do this is with sled work, so things like prowlers, where we load it up with weight, or jumping movements instead of Olympic movements to create hip drive. And for a lot of cases, jumping movements will allow us to do a lot more than Olympic lifts because we can actually play with angles, we can play with rotation, we can play with a bunch of different things that can make those movements more specific to sport. So when we talk about prowler sprints, for instance, we can load this up with a ton of plates and do marches from here where we're in a position that is more realistic to what we'll be doing in the extension of a sprint than might be found when we get into a deep squat where we're butt to grass. All right? So as we come out here and we're walking through here, we're driving off that leg and working through that. So we can do things like that. We can just do marches where we're making sure the spine's in a nice position, walking out of that, and after we're getting extension. And we can do the same thing with jumps. We can play with the angles, we can play with reactive, dropping to the ground and getting up, and a bunch of different variables that will make those exercises sport specific, but not require a ton of teaching outside of a small body mechanic position.